three sitting there, but you guys didn't see me walk in, huh?
No? We're waiting for you though.
Kaguna sensei wa ansatsu
How's the new chapter going for everybody?
That's good.
E.
How's your new Japanese 1 class?
Good.
That's good. Do you have a lot of people?
It's up to 12 on my roster, but one of them didn't come on Tuesday and one hadn't registered yet on Tuesday, so that's gonna be interesting. Two people who missed Akasatana. I'll figure it out, because we already got through that much on the first
They
day.
can learn it themselves then.
Sanin.
So, of course, we're gonna review them real quick at the beginning of class, but then we're gonna plow right on and finish the rest of the hiragana too. So,
And two.
Oh, I brought this evening.
oh, the Japanese 2 groups are fine, yeah, they're good. We are working on adjective conjugations.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. So, okay, so the first thing was, oh yeah, hoshi. So, hoshi について質問がありますか? Any questions about hoshi?
Yeah.
じゃあ、かもしれません。から始めましょ
I have a question about this one though.
う。はい。
Uh,
はい。
what do we do when it's a verb? Make it in a noun form? Like a verb?
Let's look and see if it explains that at all.
It did not, that's why
It
I'm
did
asking.
not, okay.
Yeah.
How
I
do
thought you
put
made
it?
it short.
かもしれません. It's short form, that's it.
Oh,
The
so is
short
it?
form.
That's all. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
かもしれない. Think about it this
After
way.
a verb, like suru?
Yeah, するかもしれない.
Oh.
雨が降るかもしれない.
Short form.
行くかもしれない.
Is that what I did?
Okay. So think about it this way. That ka is like your particle ka, the question word, that also sometimes gets used for other structures. Like, have you heard the expression like iku ka do ka? Wakarimasen. I don't know if I'm gonna go or not. No. So ka can get used for or
Yeah.
also.
Is there another way to use something for or? Because sometimes I feel like God just doesn't make any sense. Like it sounds more like a question than it does.
Yeah.
Or no, is that just
It's
sequel or?
upward, yeah, it's like, 映画かテレビかどっちが好きですか? Would you like better movies or TV? It is what it is, that's the way they say it. But anyway, so the ka is like that. The mo, you know from also, right? Yeah. Tokyo ni mo ikimashita. Right? Kyoto ni ikimashita. Tokyo ni mo ikimashita. That kind of mo, right? So, and the shiremasen, think about it as similar to shirimasen, but this is shiremasen, which is what? Remember from lesson 13?
What?
Shiremasen. If you've got shirimasen and you change it to shiremasen,
Okay.
what's that doing? Yeah, so cannot know. It can't be known yet. Isn't that interesting? So there's your analysis of this grammar structure. Your whatever statement, ka, as in the question, cannot be known. Is it this or not? Can't be known yet.
I thought like when you conjugate suru and you know, can and cannot, I thought it was like dekiru.
Yeah, that's dekiru. I'm talking about shiru.
Oh,
To know.
oh, yeah, the verb to
Shireru.
know.
Yeah, so
Shireru.
So shiru, to know, shireru, to be able to know.
Okay.
So shiremasen, can't be known yet, right? Because it's the future, it's something about, it's either something about the future, or it's something that you personally just don't know. And so until you are able to find out, you can't answer the question, right? So, ashita ame ga furu ka, excuse me, furu ka douka, shirimasen, ne? We don't know if it's gonna rain tomorrow, so ame ga furu kamo shirimasen. So obviously this is an idiom, so it's a set expression. But if you analyze it like that, you can see where it's coming from. So instead of feeling like you're memorizing random syllables, you're memorizing something that has a foundation laid on something you actually know. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, so like the situation that you'd use kamo shiranai, shirenai, would be different than using like kanosei garu because.
Yeah, kanosei ga aru
'Cause
is
that's
more
like
literally
saying-
the possibility exists.
Like you know the possibility exists, whereas one is
Right.
like you don't even know, like
Right.
there you think there might be maybe, but.
Right, yeah. It's, kamoshiranai is more like it's unknowable until more information comes in, versus kanosei ga aru is literally, if you break it down and look at the kanji they're using, the possibility exists. Kanose, if you look at the three kanji
Yeah.
for kanose, it's literally may be possible.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it just gets, like,
There's.
the Genki book gets like hazy for me when it comes to like like giving us words that like, I mean,
Yeah.
mostly, like, most of the vocab is like, it's pretty straightforward, like, this is,
Mhm.
this is this thing, this is this thing.
Right, but these kinds
um,
of set phrases, they don't break them down for you, which is why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because they don't analyze it in that way. So, which is one reason why Genki is usually not considered to be an ideal book for self-study.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a good textbook for a course.
Mhm.
I wouldn't recommend it for somebody who's trying to learn this language independently, because it doesn't have those kinds of deeper explanations that a lot of
Hey,
people
that's
do
us.
want.
Yeah, like I learned this morning, about all the different ways that Dekiru is used, because obviously in the chapter, it says to come into existence and to be made, and I see it doesn't have the kanji, and I had to look up, and there's like
Dekiru.
so many different ways that's used besides just to be able to, or to go.
Right,
or
yeah, there's a
whatever.
lot of different uses for Dekiru, but
Even
this text,
pregnancy.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, so Dekiru is another example, but this textbook takes one style, one concept of how to teach the language, which is to narrow it down and just teach you what they feel is relevant right now, and not teach you the zillion other possibilities that exist, because they don't want to overwhelm you with too many new concepts, which is great for some students, and then other students are like you and they want to know all of it all at once, So, if you're the kind of person who gets easily overwhelmed by too much information all at once, it's better that they don't try to
Yeah, I
tell
like
you
it.
all the different ways that Dekiru can be used in that chapter. But then for some people, it's annoying to not know
That's
when
me.
they've heard Dekiru used in other ways, but how come they're not teaching it? They're only teaching us this one way, but I know I've heard it used other ways that don't fit with that definition they're giving us. So then you get frustrated that they're not giving you
I don't mind.
all the information.
I like it like this.
Yeah, so
Because I
different
just-
people have different learning styles and different preferences, so no textbook is gonna please everybody all the time. Yeah.
And I know like people in the Hello Talk app, they may like use grammar structure, so I don't really know, like I use
Mhm.
differently and I just ask them.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so kamoshiranai, if you break it down, now you've got an idea of what it means broken down, and now we can just use it, right? And notice, I keep saying kamoshiranai, but of course you can say kamoshirenmasen for the formal form, kamoshirenai is the short form. And I'm missing my little
Janai
sensei
kamoshi.
gakusei cards, but let me see if I can find them real quick.
I think we can remember between the three of us who's
Yeah,
sensei and not.
yeah, where's Joe anyway?
He is doing a thing.
Oh.
Yojigaru.
用事があるか。
そっか。じゃあ今日は来ないの？
He isサボ
サボる。サボってます。
ってます。
はい、サボってる。Okay. じゃあ anyone want to volunteer to be the sensei?
I want to be a
today?
sensei.
Okay. Okay, so gakusei sensei for today. Okay, and then we'll rotate it. いい？
いい。
じゃあセス君から1番やってください。63ページの A。
女の人は会社員です。Oh, okay, so I have to put that into, okay, yeah.
Try looking at the example, it's right. Since kaisha is a noun, all you have to do is drop the des and add かもしれません。
Yeah, かもしれます. Okay, so, I was just trying to figure out if I was rearranging anything. I guess not.
Yep.
女の人は会社員かもしれません。
はい、かもしれません。
ません?
Ka mo shire masen or ka mo shire nai.
Oh, okay, then what is with maybe then? Maybe not.
It's
They're,
in the
they're telling you
example.
whether they want you to do the positive or the negative.
Oh.
Ka mo
janai,
shire
ka mo
masen
shiremasen.
or
Okay,
versus janai ka mo shire masen.
Yeah, I didn't see that there.
わかりますか？
Yeah, I think so.
じゃあ2番、サムネさん。
男の人は先生じゃないかもしれません。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ3番。
女の人はテニスが上手かもしれない。
はい。じゃあ4番、セス君。
男の人は背が低いかもしれません。じゃないかもしれません。
Ah, 低い is what kind of adjective?
いい。
E adjective. So how do you conjugate E adjectives into the negative?
All right. Okay. Just be yokunai or?
Hikukunai.
Oh yeah, kunai. Okay. It's been a while. So
Yeah.
I haven't had any chance to review either.
Yeah. Okay, so
sorry.
there you go. So hikukunai kamoshiremasen.
Okay, so 男の人は背が低くないかもしれません。
はい、いいですね。低くないかもしれません。じゃあ5番。
今、that's me adjective, right?
はい。
Okay. 今、寒いくないかもしれません。
寒くない。
寒くない
はい、
かもしれません。
かもしれませんね。はい、じゃあ6番。
女の人は今日テニスをするかもしれない。
あ、what's the
Oh, する。
テニスをす
Did I
るか
say
もしれない。Yes, you said
Oh,
する。
okay. 女の人は今日テニスをするかもしれない。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ、テニスをするかもしれない。じゃあ7番。
男の人と女の人は今駅にいる。駅にいる。駅にいません。Would it be that?
Okay. Well,
I'm not really sure.
imasen is the long form. What's the short form of
Yeah,
imasen?
but I'm I'm gakusei right now. Am I allowed to use short form right
Well,
now?
you
Yeah,
need
but-
short form to connect to the kamoshirei.
Okay, I thought so, but I'm still, okay, so only my last one needs to be formal.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so, 駅にいないかもしれません。
そうですね。駅にいないかもしれません。
そう
じゃあ、わかりますか？Is that still looking confused about something?
大丈夫かな? It says station, right? 駅.
Yeah, 駅。Yeah, 駅にいないかもしれ
So
ない。
that, so they're, so what,
いないかもしれ
They're
な
not.
い。
they may
They
not be
may
there.
not be in a train station.
Okay, the
They look like they're
man and woman,
outdoors.
or
Yeah,
female, male, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
The man and the woman may not be in a train station at the moment. They look like they could be outside somewhere, which is presumably not in a train station.
わかります。
はい。じゃあ、佐野君。
男の人は結婚しているかもしれません。
はい。
男の人と女の人は夫婦じゃないかしれない。
はい。夫婦じゃないかもしれ
夫
ない。
婦じゃないかもしれない。
はい。夫婦じゃないかもしれない。ね。They don't look like they necessarily know each other. They don't look like they're together. じゃあ、佐々君、10番ですね。
女の人は、男の人は人に興味があるかもしれません。知りません。
そうですね。Look what she's looking at.
Interested.
はい。
Interested, huh?
はい。興味があるかもしれない。はい。じゃあ、11番。
女の人は昨日テニスをするかもしれません。
いいえ。
した
テニスをした。
したかもしれません。
はい。したかもしれません。Yeah. So, isn't that interesting? Because the knowing or not knowing is in the present tense. That part stays in the present tense, right? But what you're not knowing at the moment is whether or not she played tennis yesterday. Interesting.
But you
huh?
can say knew as well, right? In
Yeah.
past tense. So if you were saying
You knew she did something.
知りました, then it would be
Yeah,
he
but
knew,
that,
he
yeah.
thought he knew at the time or something like that. Maybe.
Right, but kamoshiranai is not used for that.
No?
Yeah, kamoshiranai is an idiom that's specifically used for, I don't know if, or I think maybe.
Okay.
It-
Yeah, at the
it-
moment, because you think that at the moment.
You're,
Okay,
you're, at the moment, you don't know whether or not so-and-so did something in the past.
Right, so if you were trying to say that you think you knew, then you might actually have to say shirimasen, or like, and then as well as, like, I, yeah. There you go. All right.
It's hard, yeah, that expression may not fit with this, you know, trying to express that idea may not fit with this grammar structure. That's the other thing that's tricky with Japanese, is sometimes there's something you want to say, and you may not have studied the grammar structure needed to express what you're trying to express.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't just throw random things together and wing it in Japanese, you know. There are some languages where you can sort of get creative with your grammar and it might actually work. Japanese isn't one of the more flexible languages that way. You kind of have to follow the formulas they give you.
Even so, what he's saying makes a ton of sense. Like, say we were out there talking about something, and then you found out it was different when you got here, and you say, oh, kamoshiremasen, or mashita or something.
But you wouldn't use kamoshiremasen. You would say blah blah to omotte-mashita. I
You could say,
thought that something.
saki, like, is that it?
Yeah, but you don't use kamoshiremasen for didn't know. Like, oh, I didn't know we were having a test today, you wouldn't use kamoshiranae for
But
that.
I mean, like, the word they
Situation.
use for like back there, like they're, it's not really, it doesn't really mean that or anything, but that's kinda
Yeah.
like a good way to like put it in English, is maybe like that, like, you know,
Before,
back
I
in that
thought-
situation, like, yeah, I guess that would probably be
Yeah,
better.
but you will not hear kamoshiranakatta, did not.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
No.
saying that you hear
Yeah.
a different format of it, I just mean like,
Right.
if you needed to say that you
But
think.
yeah, you can use shiteru for like, I knew something or I didn't know something in the past. But you wouldn't use this particular expression for that. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't decide whether or not it's just because English is too complicated or if it's too simplistic, I can't tell. Like, I
They're
guess-
just very different from each other, that's
Yeah.
it, I think, yeah, Japanese and English are just very different, and there are times when they're incompatible to the point of, you know, for example, when I watched a Japanese anime recently, I watched it the first time with subs because I thought my friends were gonna wanna watch with me, they didn't. So the second time I watched it without the subs, and I'm like, wow, it's so much easier to follow what's going on in Japanese when I'm not distracted by the English. Because the English isn't compatible with the Japanese a lot of the time, so by reading English, I'm actually distracting myself from understanding what they're saying in
Exactly,
Japanese.
yeah, that's
Because they're
why-
just, it's not a good match.
Yeah, that's why, people who try to learn it from that are like, you have to be really, like, you really do just have to like, learn it separately, and then like, apply it by listening to it, and
Yeah.
then like, if the subtitles are just there to help, like, maybe
Yeah.
figure out something you didn't
Yeah.
hear or whatever.
Yeah, anime makes a much better tool for listening practice and comprehension practice after you've learned something than it is a tool for actually learning something new.
Yeah, no, it's awful for that.
Yeah. Okay, じゃあ、パート B やってみましょう。
明日の天気は曇りかもしれない。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ2番。
Okay, so we just filling in something we think.
Yeah,
it
just
is.
whatever you want to fill in that you think could be true. 今週
Okay, this is hard, I have no idea what I should say here.
Just
What might you
for,
do
for
this
example,
weekend?
maybe you'll go eat at Fujiyama just to pester your sister. So, you don't have to put in the pestering your sister part, but, so, 今週の週末
Yeah, so I just say, 今週の週末、私は藤山に行くかもしれません。
はい、そうですね。藤山に行くかもしれません。or 藤山で食べるかもしれません。
You said 食べに行く
or 藤山に食べに行くかもしれません。はい。or 藤山に行って妹を意地悪かもしれません。Pester my sister. Because his sister just started her job at Fujiyama.
あ
じゃあ、どうぞ。
ああ、私たちの日本語の先生は、面白いかもしれません。
そうか。
I wish they wouldn't do that. Like, I wish they would, like, if for kanji we've already learned, I wish they would just, like, not including on it.
Yeah, I wish they would too.
Because I hate relying on it.
Yeah, 私、yeah.
Having a photocopy is kind of convenient because the furigana is so small, you can't really read it.
Ah, yeah, and,
It's kinda
and if you really wanted to,
bad.
you could just black it out easily, because it's a photocopy. So, yeah, so, 私たちの先生は, and you can also put other things, like, you know, something you wouldn't necessarily know about me, like whether or not I'm doing something in particular this weekend, or,
Oh.
you know.
映画見に行くかもしれません。
See?
映画を見に行くかもしれません。
じゃあ次。
私の隣の人は昨日 休んだかもしれません。かもしれない。
はい、いいですね。じゃあ5番。
今月期の後。
今学期。
今学期. Oh,
Hi.
my bad. 今学期. See, that's exactly why. Like, if I just knew what those were.
Yeah, right.
今学期の後、私は. I don't actually know what that means.
After the semester.
Yeah.
It's after I like. Okay. Yeah.
After the semester.
Yes.
But like, it's got.
Yeah, gakki, it's the gaku for study, and ki is a time period, like a standard
That was my
period of
second
time.
guess.
So gakki,
Oh.
study time period, semester. Hi?
Toeki or something like that? Like the period in history in Japan? Is that the same key that's used?
It may very well be. I don't recall seeing that one written in kanji lately, so.
What is it?
Yeah.
Like toeki or something.
The
To, the number.
key.
I think key. That, or I just don't remember properly.
Current term period is toki.
Okay.
Like,
今学期の後、私は日本語のクラスを失敗かもしれません。
失敗する。
失敗する、yeah, かもしれません。
I hope not. はい、わかる？ Do you guys get how you can use かもしれません？はい、じゃあ C をやってみましょう。
はい。
じゃあ example、すむさんとエリさんに読んでくださいね。
10年後、日本語を勉強していますか？
日本語を勉強しているかもしれません。多分日本語を勉強していると思います。
はい。So here are two different ways to answer that. So the question was 日本語を勉強していますか right? 10年後、日本語を勉強していますか
多分は
10 years from now, will you be studying Japanese? So one possibility, 日本語を勉強しているかもしれません. I might be studying Japanese. Or 多分, probably, yeah, 日本語を勉強していると思います. That second one sounds a little bit more definite. Like you're a little bit more certain that you'll probably still be learning Japanese at that point. The other one sounds a little bit less certain. It's still a possibility, but you're just not quite as confident that it will still be the case. Make sense?
So wait, what if you're going to say like, would it be, to say probably not, it would be 多分日本語を勉強していない?
Right, stay night, と思います. Yeah, I think I probably won't be studying Japanese anymore by then. So, yeah, if you're, for example, you're only doing this because you need the college credits, but you don't necessarily plan to keep going, then, yeah, 多分日本語を勉強していないと思います. Or 日本語を勉強していないかもしれません. You might not be studying it anymore by then. So, and just, you know, it's interesting to note that the かもしれない version of the sentence is less certain whether it's the positive or the negative. It might be, or it might not be. But the 多分していると思います or 多分していないと思います is more, not 100%, but still a little bit more certain than this かもしれない version. かもしれない is probably like 50-50. Yeah, maybe I will be. You know, and the 多分していると思います is more like 80-20 maybe, 70-30 probability. It's more than 50-50, whichever one you're answering. So if you change it to 多分勉強していないと思います, that's like 80% sure I probably won't be doing Japanese anymore by then. いいですか？じゃあ、Okay, so アリさん、一番質問を聞いて、セス君答えてください。
Okay. どこに住んでる？
Okay, so you're gonna add the 10年後。10年後, 10 years from now is what that word translates to.
Oh, I forgot about that.
後. Yeah, the 後 is the same kanji that's ato,
Yeah.
and the same one that's the go in gozen and gogo.
Yeah, I was wondering because I'm like, I just actually it's presently. Okay.
Yeah, it's the second go and gogo.
Okay.
So 10年後, 10 years from now.
10年後、どこに住んでる？
Just wait, just be something.
Well, since she's playing the sensei role today, she's using casual speech to ask you the question.
But for me, like, I would
But
ask-
for
I ask,
you,
yeah. Okay.
well, you don't know for sure where you're gonna be living 10 years from now.
Oh, no,
right?
I mean it too. I'm gonna ask.
You would ask
me
that
anyway.
Right, so,
Casually, because we're students, you can ask me casually if you want.
yeah, and then you could answer casually.
Uh,
どこに？
do I mirror it with Jin
So,
goal as well? or-
Junen-go, yeah, well,
Could.
You don't
you
have
don't
to.
have to, but you could.
It's already
Junen-go, don't
established.
consider it.
We're talking about 10 years.
Yeah, so she's asking you 10 years from now, where
Yeah,
will you be
where-
living? And
yeah.
so you're gonna answer using one of those patterns from
Tabun
the example.
Nihongo de sundeiru
Tabun Nihon
kamoshimasen.
ni
Ni
sundeiru. Ni, not de. And you don't need the go, you said
Yeah, that's
Nihongo.
right. Right.
I know you didn't mean that part,
Yeah.
but.
Uh,
Yeah, notice the structure of the question, doko ni sundeiru? So that gives you your clue right there of what particle you need. Tabun nihon ni sundeiru.
What is it that?
De is with more active verbs, but sumu is more passive than.
Okay, Sumu lives when you need always. Probably.
Place name ni sundeiru. Yeah, Melbourne ni sundeiru, Nihon ni
Yeah,
sundeiru,
that's right.
Australia ni sundeiru.
クラスで勉強している。
Okay, but that's not asking the question, doko ni sundeiru.
Oh, I was just saying
Yeah.
like another way to use day.
Yeah,
Day, class day.
yeah, well, de is benkyou shiteiru, that's a more active verb, but sundeiru is more passive, so it takes ni. Okay, so tabun nihon ni sundeiru kamoshimasen. And actually, their example puts tabun with omoimasu because it's a little bit more definite sounding,
Yeah.
so.
Tabun Nihon ni sundeiru tomo. Wait, would it be like
To-
to?
To omoimasu.
Where does kamoshimasen go then?
That's my point.
Oh, I don't need to
It's
use
one
it.
or
Okay,
the
my bad,
other,
my bad, yeah.
And tabun is usually not as commonly used with kamoshimasen.
Oh, right, because then that's extra uncertainty, like unnecessary uncertainty.
Well, it shifts the meaning slightly. I think if you say tabun, nihon ni sundeiru kamoshimasen, it sounds a little contradictory because tabun sounds a little bit more probable than kamoshimasen.
Oh,
So,
tabun might be kamose, like that would be.
yeah, it's a little bit
Okay.
more possible.
Can you say probably not? Like
Tabun.
precede the sentence with tabun and then go in and make it negative?
Yeah, tabun, nihon ni
Tabun.
sundenai to omoimasu.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. That was always a question.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, じゃあ2番の質問をください。
10年後結婚していますか？
多分
This is very casual to me.
Well, that's okay. Since they don't know each other that well yet, they could still use formal for a while, but
Okay.
as we progress through the semester, if we were doing this
Yeah.
as real life, as you progress through the semester, you would gradually go from using decimal forms all the time to more casual speech with one another as fellow students. But, you know, if you wanna stick to decimals for today because you don't know each other that well yet, that works. That's actually culturally realistic.
イエーイ。
多分結婚していないと思います。
あ、そうですか。じゃあ、
10年後、ご主人
ご主人
ご主人はどんな人ですか？
素敵で頭が良くて背が高い人。
かもしれま
あ
せん。かもしれない。
かもしれない。
はい、いいですね。はい、じゃあ4番どうぞ。
子供がいる。
Okay, 10
Oh, I
年
keep
後。
forgetting. Like 10年後、子供がいる。
10年後、子供がいません。Yeah, because I no, it's still いない, isn't it?
Yeah, いない。
Okay.
And then-
Okay, yeah. 10年後、子供がいないかもしれません。
はい、いいですね。はい、じゃあ5番は。
10年後、仕事は何ですか？
さっき Is that the word for writing?
あ、サッカー。
サッカー。サッカーを
サッカーになる or サッカーをする。
サッカーになるかもしれません。
or サッカーになっているかもしれません。You will have become a writer by then, perhaps.
Oh, that's good.
サッカーになっている。いいですね。じゃあ6番は。
お
Is the will have like implicit there because it's 10 years? Or is there some indication of
The
future
て
tense?
いる
Oh, it can
makes
it just
it-
is future. It can be future tense, I guess.
Yeah, the teiru makes it more like, I think I will have accomplished by then.
Okay.
So, サッカーになっているかもしれない is more like, I think I will have become a writer by then. Versus, サッカーになるかもしれない sounds like, I think I will become a writer, but it almost sounds like you'll be still working toward that goal, but maybe not have fully accomplished it yet. So it's actually a little bit weird sounding with naru. Not theater sounds more natural in that context.
Okay.
Oh.
10年後お金持ちですか？
ああ。
多分お金持ち just 持ちだ or just 持ちと思う。
だと思います。
Okay, 多分お金持ちだと思う。
はい。だと思う。はい。多分お金持ちだと思う。いいですね。じゃあ、7
Remember
番。
this time. 10年後、週末よく何をする？
Yeah.
Okay, 週末 weekend よく何をしますか often
Oh.
do what? So 10年後 10 years from now, what do you think you will
Yeah, I
commonly
was
do
having trouble
on
figuring out
weekends?
what yoku meant in this 多分日本語の日本人にno would it be 日本語教えてた日本人の学生に
ああ、日本人の学生に英語を教える。
英語を教える
はい、
かもしれません。
かもしれません。
Okay, so
日本人の学生に英語
日
を
本人の学生に英語
教
を教
える。
えるかもしれません。
Teach Japanese students.
Yeah. 10 years from now, on weekends, you might be teaching English to Japanese kids,
Somehow,
something like that.
for some reason, on the weekend.
Yeah.
I can't listen to
Hey, it's grammar practice. You can come up with whatever you want.
not whatever, something like that.
はい、いいですか？質問がありますか？ Any questions about that かもしれない？ Okay. じゃあ、Part D やってみましょう。Probably the last segment about that grammar structure. じゃあ、さすくん、トーサンヌンさん、example を読んでくださいね。はい。
今度の週末、うちに来ない。
今度の週末はちょっとアルバイトがあるかもしれないから。
そうか。じゃあ、また今度。
はい。みんな、わかりますか？
What's kondo again?
今度、next time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And
It
so-
literally looks like this time,
Mhm.
but it means this coming time. So since you're just, use the kondo no shumatsu, this coming weekend would be a precise translation of that. Uchi ni konai? Wanna come to my house? You know, that's a, remember
Wait,
kimasen ka as a formal
Invitation.
invitation?
this is a
So,
casual invitation.
this is the casual invitation. Uchi ni konai? Won't you come to my place? Okay, and then, kondo no shumatsu wa chotto, this coming weekend is a little bit, you remember that?
Oh, okay, I remember.
Yeah, you remember that? Chotto, as opposed to giving some kind of specific adjective that might offend the other person, right? And then, アルバイトがあるかもしれないから。So, アルバイトがあるかもしれないから。So, giving the reason, what might be stopping you from coming over. そっか、じゃあ、また今度。わかる？
This sounds good.
はい。じゃあ、サナさんとエリさん、一つやってください。
今度の週末、映画を見に
行かない。
見に行かない。
今度の週末はちょっと、
どうして？
日本語の試験があるかもしれないから。
そうか。じゃあまた今度。
はい、いいですね。わかりますか？ Okay, should we try one more example?
I have a question.
はい。
Instead of choto, is it like okay to say 今度の週末は都合が悪いです or
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. You can, 都合が悪いんです by itself comes across as a little bit harsher. So another thing you'll often hear is 今度の週末はちょっと都合が悪いんです。
Oh, okay, so it's a little softer.
Yeah, that chotto softens it. So tsuo ga warui, meaning it's inconvenient,
Mhm.
it works, but adding chotto to it softens it, so it doesn't sound
A little bit
so
versus
harsh.
different.
Yeah, yeah, it makes the difference between coming across as, I'm not willing to make time for you
Mhm.
because I've got such a busy schedule, versus, I wish I could, but I just can't make it.
Oh, okay, I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, in English, we would say, probably, if we wanted to be nice, we could say something like, oh, I wish I could, but I've gotta do such and such, versus, no, I don't have time for that. You know? You can hear the difference, right?
Mhm.
Leaving out the chotto and just saying tsugo ga warui comes across as that second example a little bit. Okay? 質問がありますか? Do you guys want to try one more of this so that you get a chance for the other role and Seth gets a chance to play the other role?
Yeah. Okay. 今度の週末、家で晩ご飯を食べない？
Starting with what the
Yeah, I know, I'm just trying to figure out what else to say for the second one.
Yeah.
She asked me what I'm going to eat for dinner at my house.
No,
Or is
No,
she
I
wants
asked
to
you,
do it at
won't
her
you
house?
come to my
Okay,
house
for
for
dinner.
dinner?
Okay. 今度の週末はちょっと仕事はあるかもしれません。
or かもしれない
知らないから。
Since the whole thing is in casual speech. 仕事があるかもしれないから。はい。
そうか、じゃあまた今度。
はい、いいですね。That's a really good example of a casual invite and a casual way to turn it down without being rude.
Okay.
Okay. So that's a really good example, and a good example of a real life usage of かもしれない also. Okay. じゃあ、ハートさん、京子さんはディエゴさんにトレーナーをあげました。So this is where we're starting to get into あげる。皆さんわかる?
Doesn't it have to do with opening too?
You're thinking 開ける。
開ける。
開ける is to open, あげる is to
Yeah,
give.
say something like, well,
Can you say that
Yes.
in reference to a gift? Like present or
開ける。
yeah, arcade.
You're
Or
thinking,
arcade.
yeah, like 箱を開ける. Yeah, to open the box, open the gift as an unwrapping a present. Yeah, I think you can use 開ける for open in that sense as well, but you don't hear it used that way as much. It's more common for like ドアを開ける、窓を開ける.
Or like door を開けてください。
はい、ドアを開けてください。Please open the door. Or 窓を開けてください. Please open the window. Yeah. Things like that. 開けないでください.
What
Please don't
about
open
like
it.
what about 本を開けてください。
はい、いいですよ。本を開けて。
But like,
65ページを見てください。本を開けて、65ページを見てください。Would be like, please open your books and look at page 65. You know. So yes,授業でも本を開けてください. Yeah, you can say that in class. You hear that a lot. 本を開けてください.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll even hear it, like the two pieces combined into like 60ページを開けてください. Open to page 60, you know. Okay, so, but this is あげる, not 開ける.
So when I gave the example, "Oshiete agere," is that like is that like, going, like, is that like saying like in English, like, going to teach you a lesson or give you a lesson?
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna teach it to you as a way of being nice, as a way of giving you a gift.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so oshiete ageru.
I swear
Yeah.
I hear that, I swear, I only hear that ever, like, sarcastically, and not like her, but like, like, I
Okay.
understand the, like, what you're saying, but like, yeah, it's like, cause you need this, like, as a,
Right.
as a gift,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, so yeah, usually te ageru phrases imply I'm doing this for your sake. Okay, whether you appreciate it or not is a different question. But usually if you say like oshiete ageru or, anything like that, I'm doing it as a gift to you. Now, it can be extremely sarcastic, sono keiki o tabete agemasu yo. I'll eat that cake for you.
Could you also say like, for the example is like Chichi ni osake o age tsumori desu?
Ageru tsumori, yeah, I
Yes.
plan to give it to him. Yeah, chichi ni osake o ageru tsumori desu. I plan to give my dad
Yeah.
liquor. Okay, so, and they're gonna be introducing other giving and receiving words as we go forward. So it's important to note the context of how they're using
Oh,
ageru
they have
here.
it down here. Ageru tsumori desu ka?
Right.
That's
Right.
whiskey, that's not sake.
Well, osake is a general term.
I know it's a general term, but it's just like.
Yeah, whiskey
Why
is
is
in
there,
katakana,
why
but
is there an
osake.
honorific in front of it? Like the o.
The o osake, for the same reason as omizu, osushi, there are certain nouns that take an honorific o sometimes and others that just don't.
Like ocha.
Yeah, ocha takes it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, it just seems to be like, because either it sounds polite or because it flows well, like in a.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Part of the reason it flows well is because it's such a long-standing habit for Japanese people
So
to
it's,
say it
is it
that
like
way.
a cultural thing too?
It's a cultural thing. It tends to be nouns that are both traditional
Yeah,
and have some kind of cultural significance.
okay.
For example, mizu and sake are both used in Shinto rituals.
Mhm.
So it makes sense that they both take o. Ocha is also associated with ritual and ceremony. Chano yu, the tea ceremony is associated with ritual and ceremony that has spiritual significance to a lot of Japanese people. The way tea ceremony was historically practiced and used, it had real spirituality to it. It wasn't just a secular thing. And it wasn't necessarily a religious thing in a dogmatic sense, because it didn't matter if you were practicing Buddhist or Shinto or Christian or whatever. You can still be part of tea ceremony and feel like you get into a meditative state as part of it. So yeah, it does seem to be mostly associated with things that are sort of quintessentially Japanese
Okay.
and or have some kind of strong spiritual or cultural significance to them that, oh, this is a Japanese thing. You won't see the o applied to a lot of foreign
Osaka.
loan words. And it's not the same o as in place names like Osaka. The o in Osaka is actually oki o.
Okay.
But the o in ocha, osake, omizu is a single syllable o.
Mhm.
And it's not written with the same kanji. There is actually a kanji for it, but it's an entirely different one.
Since they like to avoid using their words for you, like sometimes I guess they have questions or they have like, yeah, they'll have questions like, instead of anata no namae wa nan desu ka, they'll have
Onamae
onamae
wa.
wa nan desu
Yeah,
ka.
and just the fact that it's got the honorific on it makes it clear that you're talking about the other person, not yourself.
Yeah.
Onamae wa, you know, ouchi is another example. Ouchi de gohan tsukurimashita ka? Did you make dinner at your house? You know, ouchi by definition is talking about the other person's home, not one's own. Otaku is one that's changed its meaning drastically in recent years, but it was originally an honorific that meant someone else's home, and by extension,
Well, what's
the
the
pronoun
meaning
you.
now?
The modern meaning is it's slang for like a geek, a nerd who's into something like really fanatically.
Really?
So like anime no otaku, or manga no otaku, or, you know,
It seems like-
cosplay no otaku.
It seems like it has a different meaning in Japan than it does here, because
Yeah.
if you get called like we have like another word for some reason, weeaboo, but otaku is like, in Japan, I think just means somebody who's like, yeah, like, you know, like, there's like, it's just like a stereotype, like, it doesn't mean anything specific, it just means like, oh, like, they're really obsessed with something.
Right,
and
yeah.
They, are fanatic, like you said, fanatical, and like, they stay home and do it, and,
Yeah. Yeah.
whereas here, I guess it's supposed to mean like, you're really obsessed with specifically Japanese
Yeah,
stuff,
like-
even though,
Well,
like,
yeah,
that's not
because-
really,
Well,
Like
it's a
a
Japanese
fanboy?
word,
Yeah.
so it's not, you know, if you're a total fan of, I don't know, shooting ranges and skeet shoots or something,
So like a
you wouldn't
fanboy.
necessarily know the word otaku because it's a Japanese term, you know? So I think Japanese culture fanatics know
Yeah,
the term otaku.
yeah, it's pretty much just fanatic.
Mainstream Americans don't know the word otaku necessarily. People who've studied Japanese know the word otaku. I think
I
that's,
saw it. Was it in 13?
That's in,
yeah,
13.
was it 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Otaku.
Yeah. Interesting word. So anyway, we're talking about omiyage o agemashita. So you came back from a trip, you brought home omiyage with you, and now you're telling what you're giving to whom in terms of the omiyage you brought back from your trip.
Okay.
Okay, so notice the particle usage and the directionality of person
Person.
ni thing o agemasu.
Okay.
Okay, so chichi ni sake o agemasu. Okay, whose turn is it?
I think it's.
Seth's turn. Okay, ichiban dozo.
Haha, haha ni.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Sen, okay, dozo.
Haha ni hon o agemasu.
はい。
友達にチョコレートをあげる。
はい。Seth-kun.
Don't know the word for roommate, hold on.
Roommate.
Really? Oh,
Seriously.
okay. I mean, I was gonna cheat and say that, but roommate ni, London no shirts,
T シャツ。
T シャツをあげます。
ロンドンの T シャツ。
ロンドンの T シャツをあげます。
Yeah, notice that it's London, not London.
Oh, really?
Yeah, London.
Okay, well, that's just stupid. I resent that.
Sorry, that's the way it is. It's London. はい、4番。
友達呼ぶ分
弟。
弟に帽子をあげます。
はい。
先生にお茶をあげる。
はい。
What is that? It's a box.
It's a tea thing.
Yeah.
It's a tea
It's a
thing.
tea
Yeah, it is a
can.
tea
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's like one of those tin can canister things with a removable lid.
I've seen those in like Chinatown.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
box flask for tea.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually the kind that's got loose tea in it and you scoop out a little bit with your scoop. Okay. いいですか？じゃあ、パート B やってみましょう。じゃあ、Okay, so, エリさんとセス君、example 読んでください。
お父さんの誕生日に何をあげるつもりですか？ We
料
don't.
理の本をあげるつもりです。父は料理をするのが好きですか？
いいですね。
好きですか？
はい。じゃあ1番どうぞ。
お母さんの誕生日にwait.
Yeah, you're asking.
It's all birthday. Okay.
はい。
Yeah. Okay. お母さんの誕生日に何をあげるつもりですか？
CD をあげるつもりです。クラシックを聞くのが好きですから。
いいですね。じゃあ2番。
おばあさんの誕生日に何をあげるつもりですか？
新しい靴をあげるつもりだ。靴がたくさんないから。
ああ、いいですね。
おじさんの誕生日に何をあげるつもりだ？
おじさん？
はい、おじさん。
おじさん。
Okay, I have one that I have a word that I want to use, but I don't know because in English we have a word. We have like 2 different words for this, but let's see. How are we leading with the sentence?
Just-
No.
Just the thing
The thing.
をあげるつもりです。
Oh, okay. I don't know how complicated we're going here.
Doesn't have to be.
香水をあげます。あげますつもりだ。あげるつもりです。
香水。
香水 is I think what the word was. I'm going to go with that. I'm not really sure if you give men that.
What?
No.
What did you say?
香水。何？
Perfume.
Perfume. Oh gosh. 香水。香
We
水。
use the word cologne.
Yeah.
Does that not make any sense?
香水。
Do you just wear that? Do you not actually give people that? Is there like a thing?
香水。あげる。Yeah, I guess you can. You just be careful your pronunciation. 香水. It's an extended vowel. 香水をあげる。
Well, you say that, and yet the number of times that I hear supposed
Sweet.
long vowel sounds erased by instant.
People
Yeah.
just pronouncing them funny, yeah.
Well, no, I just like
香水.
even like
It,
if I'm
it
listening
changes
to.
the emphasis more so than the length sometimes, the way people say it.
Wait, well, what word did you think I said?
Well, 香水, it just, I couldn't figure out what you were saying. 香水 versus 香水. Do you hear how if you shorten the ko too
香水.
much, the su gets stronger. 香水 versus 香水.
Yeah.
香水. Okay. 香水. はい。いいですよ。
Okay.
はい。Did you have a reason for that? Because that's the second
Yeah,
sentence.
yeah.
香水をあげるつもりです。
よくない匂いおじさんは
おじさんは、
おじさんは
悪い
what do we
匂いをしてますか？
what do we not よくない okay yeah because E and what do we okay yeah よくない would be like weird okay yeah what do we 匂い
してますから。I'm trying. 臭い is the other word you could use. 臭い is the adjective for stinky.
no yeah I didn't know that word so
おじさんは臭いですか？ That's pretty cruel sounding though. 臭いですか？
why else would you buy somebody something
Because they're stinky. That's pretty
Exactly.
bad.
Because they're here now.
Okay, yeah.
Because they don't,
香水がなくなっちゃったから。
because they don't
He
have,
ran out
they
of
don't
香水。
have any.
So,
or
香水
he's,
がないから。Yeah.
おじさんはかっこいい。
かっこいい人。
And he needs it, yeah.
Yeah, かっこいい人だから。Yeah, this is a cool guy who needs 香水。Okay, どうぞ質問を聞いてください。4番ですね。
Okay. 友達の誕生日に何をあげるつもりですか？
鉛筆をあげるつもりです。鉛筆がないですから。
あ、なるほど。じゃあ、どうぞ。
兄弟。
兄弟わかりますか？
Parents?
いいえ。
Siblings.
Siblings.
はい。
兄弟の誕生日に何をあげるつもりですか？
ゲームをあげるつもりだ。週末ゲームをよくするのが好きだから。
だから。はい。いいですね。じゃあ、6番どうぞ。
彼女の誕生日に何をあげるつもりだ。
何も。彼女があります。ありません。
いません。
いません。Sorry, I keep forgetting that.
そうか。そしていい友達の誕生日に何をあげるつもりだ。
同じ。
同じ
友達もい
お
ない。
金はいない。
いい友達がいませんか？
友達がいないの？
いないの？
いない。
残念ですね。
じゃあ6番、6番じゃなくて66ページ、パート C やってみましょう。Okay. So this is where we're gonna differentiate between くれる and もらう。Okay, so this is where sometimes people start to get a little bit confused because in English we don't differentiate between verbs for I gave something to him or he gave something to me. But Japanese has two distinct verbs for those two distinct actions. I give to someone else, I use ageru. Someone else gives to me, I can either say they gave it to me with kureru, or I can say I received it from them with morau. So there are two different ways to describe the action of somebody else giving me a gift. Two different verbs depending on whether I want to say I received it from them or so-and-so gave it to me. See what I'm saying? We use the two, the two are basically interchangeable in the sense that they both describe the same action. In English, we don't think too hard about which verb we're using because it's our native language, we don't have to think about it, right? But in Japanese, you have to think about it because not only does the verb change, but the particles change. So let's look at the examples. 彼女がマフラーをくれました。Okay, so note the particles there. Versus 彼女にマフラーをもらいました。See the difference? 彼女が、彼女 is the one doing the action. 彼女がマフラーをくれました。She's the subject of the sentence. She's the actor in the sentence, right? 彼女にマフラーをもらいました。You're putting yourself as the unstated subject, right? 私は彼女にマフラーをもらいました。I received from her. Make sense? So that's an important distinction, and so they're giving you both examples, and they want you to play around with making both types of sentences about each one of these. Okay? So, whose turn is it to start? dozo.
Wait, so do you want us to do both of them?
Yeah, so you're gonna do both sentences about each.
What did your parents? Parents, well, you mean, true, how do you say parents in Japanese?
Hiroshi.
Ryoshin, yeah.
Ryoshin.
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 両親がお金をくれました。
はい。
両親にお金をもらいました。
はい、そうですね。じゃあ2番、エリさん。
おじいさんが
ラジオ。
ラおじ
Still resent that.
おじいさんがラジオをくれた。
はい。
おじいさんに
ラジオ。
This is 'cause like
I know.
おじいさんにラジオをもらった
もらった。はい。
もらった
おじいさんにラジオをもらった。はい。
欲しくない
欲しくないYeah. Yeah, an old-fashioned radio like that. By the way, part of the reason for some of these crazy katakana spellings that you don't like is because of when they were adopted into the language. Some of them are done off of the spelling in English rather than the
Oh,
American
like
pronunciation, like radio.
Oh, so it's our fault, okay.
No, it's just, it has to do largely with the age of the word. They came off of the spelling at a time when they weren't necessarily studying American English. They might have been learning British English when that word came through. British English was the standard being taught in Japanese schools for a certain period of time.
Oh, I wouldn't expect them to pronounce it like radio,
Yeah.
but like just they have a D sound. They have D sounds.
They have the red sound.
Well,
we're
they
just gonna
hadn't
use the J
invented that
sound.
yet. They hadn't invented some of them yet when some of these words were adopted. Radio has been around a long time.
That's true.
You know, the T, D constructions, all of the V sound constructions, and a few of the other oddball ones that are creations of katakana didn't exist until probably the 1950s. I believe that's when most of those constructions date to, 50s or more
Post
recent.
World War II.
Yeah, post-World War II or even newer. I believe the V's are even newer than that. And so, yeah, and they had radios in Japan before World War II. You know, I mean, Hirohito had to announce
His
his defeat on radio in Japan because it was the best way the occupation could think of to get the word out to everybody in Japan, because people weren't laying down their arms, people weren't surrendering because they didn't think the emperor was really surrendering. He had to not only declare that he was surrendering, he had to declare that he was not a living god, that he was just a normal human being, to make people lay down their arms. Anyway, we're out of time, so we will come back to this activity and do more of this next time.
Okay.
But that's a really, really important distinction to make between ageru, kureru, and nao. And who's the subject, who's the object, what particles are being used, all that stuff matters to distinguish among those.
Tebukuru was one of our vocabulary
Tebukuru,
paths, right?
yeah.
Okay.
That was like
Yeah.
chapter 10.
Yeah, something like that, tebukuro, yeah. It's, if you break it down, a bukuro is a bag, so tebukuro is literally handbags.
No. Tebukuru.
Bukuro, tebukuro, gloves, right? Is
Yeah,
that-
yeah. Is it bukuro?
I'm pretty sure, tebukuro,
Tebukuro.
I just read it several times. I did.
yeah. Tebukuro.
But I was like, I've never heard of the word I was reading.
Yeah,
That
tebukuro,
explains why, you know.
yeah, tebukuro. It's literally a bag for your hand, which makes a lot more sense in the case of a mitten than a glove, but it's kind of a generic word that covers both mittens and
They use
gloves.
the same word for mitten?
Yeah, they use the same word for mitten and glove.
Might as well, right?